My boyfriend cheated and lied to both me and the other woman. I left him, but my sister wanted me to forgive him. My name is Lena, 28 female, and I've been with my boyfriend, Nate, 30 male, for the past 6 years. Our story began in college. I was a shy art major, always with a sketchbook in hand, while Nate was a charismatic business student who seemed to know everyone on campus. We met at a mutual friend's party. I was sitting in a corner, doodling on a napkin, when Nate approached me. He was intrigued by my drawing and struck up a conversation. We talked for hours that night, about everything from our childhood dreams to our favorite books. Nate made me laugh in a way no one else ever had, and I felt an instant connection. Our relationship blossomed quickly after that. Nate was my first serious boyfriend, and he showed me a world beyond my quiet, introverted bubble. We went on spontaneous road trips, tried new restaurants, and even took a painting class together, though Nate was hilariously bad at it. He encouraged me to showcase my art, and I helped him study for his business exams. We balanced each other out perfectly. After graduation, we both landed jobs in the same city. Nate started at a marketing firm, while I got a position as a graphic designer at a small agency. We were excited to start our adult lives together and decided to move in. Our first apartment was tiny and barely furnished, but it was ours. We spent weekends scouring thrift stores for quirky decorations and arguing playfully over whose turn it was to do the dishes. As the years went by, our careers progressed. Nate was climbing the corporate ladder at his firm, impressing his bosses with his innovative ideas. I had built up a solid portfolio and was taking on more significant projects at work. We talked about our future, marriage, kids, maybe even starting our own business together someday. Everything seemed perfect. That's why, when things started to change, I initially dismissed my concerns as paranoia. It began subtly. Nate started working late more often, citing a big project at work. At first, I didn't think much of it. I knew how ambitious he was, and I wanted to support his career. But then I noticed other changes. He became protective of his phone, always keeping it face down or taking calls in another room. Our conversations became superficial, focusing on day-to-day logistics rather than our usual deep discussions. I tried to talk to Nate about it, but he always had an explanation. He was stressed about work, he was tired, he had a lot on his mind. I wanted to believe him, but a nagging feeling in my gut told me something was off. Then came the night that changed everything. It was our anniversary, and I had planned a surprise dinner at home. I left work early, bought Nate's favorite wine, and spent hours cooking his favorite meal. As I was setting the table, I realized I had forgotten candles. I decided to run to the store quickly, knowing Nate wouldn't be home for another hour. But when I returned, I found Nate's car in the driveway. My heart leapt, maybe he had come home early to surprise me too. I entered the apartment quietly, a smile on my face, ready to surprise him. But the sight that greeted me wiped that smile away instantly. Nate was on our couch, locked in an embrace with a woman I'd never seen before. They jumped apart when they heard me gasp, and the look on Nate's face, a mix of shock, guilt, and fear, told me everything I needed to know. The next few hours were a blur of tears, shouting, and broken explanations. The woman, Rebecca, 26 female, worked at Nate's company. They'd been having an affair for months. Nate swore it was just a physical thing, that he still loved me, that he wanted to work things out. But all I could think about was how many times he must have lied to me, how many nights he was with her when he said he was working late. I couldn't bear to stay in the apartment. I threw some clothes in a bag and went to my best friend Sarah's, 29 female, place. Sarah and I have been friends since high school, and she's always been there for me through thick and thin. She listened as I poured out the whole story, offering comfort and righteous anger on my behalf. The next few weeks were a roller coaster. Nate kept calling and texting, alternating between apologies and explanations. He sent flowers to my work, left long voicemails pledging his love and remorse. Part of me wanted to believe him. After all, we had 6 years of history, of love, of shared dreams. Could I really throw that all away? My family had mixed reactions. My younger sister, Monica, 25 female, has always idolized my relationship with Nate. When I told her what happened, she was shocked but quickly started advocating for forgiveness. Everyone makes mistakes, she said. Your relationship is too special to give up on. Her words made me question myself. Was I being too harsh? Too unforgiving? My parents were divided on the issue. My mom, 54 female, always the peacemaker, suggested I hear Nate out. She reminded me of how happy we'd been, how well Nate fit into our family. Relationships take work, she said. Maybe this is a test you need to overcome together. My dad, 56 male, on the other hand, was furious. He'd always been protective of me, and the thought of Nate betraying me made his blood boil. You deserve better, he insisted. Once a cheater, always a cheater. As the weeks turned into months, I remained at Sarah's, unable to face returning to the apartment Nate and I had shared. I threw myself into work, taking on extra projects to keep my mind occupied. But at night, when the distractions faded away, I found myself replaying memories of my relationship with Nate. I remembered our first Valentine's Day, when Nate surprised me with a picnic in the park, complete with all my favorite foods. I thought about the summer we spent backpacking through Europe, getting lost in winding streets and making memories in every city. I recalled quiet Sunday mornings, Nate bringing me coffee in bed, talking about our dreams for the future. But then I'd remember the look on his face when I caught him with Rebecca. The necklace he'd bought for her, delicate and feminine, so different from the art-inspired jewelry he usually chose for me. The realization that while I was planning our future, he was betraying our past. Nate's persistence hasn't waned. He still calls, still texts, still begs for another chance. He says he's ended things with Rebecca completely, that he realizes what a mistake he made. He's offered to go to couples counseling, to change jobs, to do whatever it takes to rebuild my trust. And if I'm honest, there's a part of me that wants to believe him. A part that misses the comfort of our shared life, the inside jokes, the way he could make me laugh even on my worst days. But then I think about the months of lies, the secrets, the betrayal, and I feel sick to my stomach. I know I need to make a decision soon. I can't keep living in limbo, and Sarah, as wonderful as she is, probably wants her apartment back to herself. But every time I think I've made up my mind, I second-guess myself. So, Reddit, I turn to you for advice. Am I foolish for even considering giving Nate another chance? Or am I throwing away a relationship that could potentially be saved? How do I move forward from here, whether it's with or without Nate? Any advice or personal experiences would be greatly appreciated. Update 1. It's been a month since my original post, and I wanted to update you all on what's happened since then. First of all, thank you to everyone who took the time to read my story and offer advice. Your perspectives really helped me gain clarity on my situation. After much soul-searching and several long conversations with Sarah, I decided to meet with Nate to hear him out. We agreed to meet at a neutral location, a quiet cafe we used to frequent during our college days. It felt surreal walking into that familiar space, memories of late-night study sessions and lazy Sunday brunches flooding back. As soon as I saw Nate, all the emotions I'd been trying to suppress came rushing back. He looked terrible, dark circles under his eyes, his usually neat hair disheveled. For a moment, I felt a pang of concern, quickly followed by a twinge of satisfaction. It was petty, perhaps, but a part of me was glad to see that this situation was affecting him too. Nate started by apologizing profusely. He talked about how the affair with Rebecca had started as harmless flirtation but quickly spiraled out of control. He spoke about feeling overwhelmed with work pressures and using the affair as an escape. But he swore that the whole experience had made him realize how much he truly loved me and how foolish he'd been to risk our relationship. As I listened to Nate, I found myself remembering all the good times we'd shared. Our first kiss under the stars at a music festival. The time we stayed up all night talking about our hopes and dreams. The way he held my hand at my grandmother's funeral, a silent pillar of support. But then I also remembered the lies. The nights I spent waiting for him, believing he was working late when he was really with her. The fact that he'd been ready to come home to me after being with her, to kiss me with the same lips that had kissed her. The trust that had been shattered. Nate said he was willing to do anything to regain my trust. He offered to change jobs to avoid any contact with Rebecca. He suggested couples counseling, complete transparency with his phone and email, whatever it would take. He even talked about the future, renewing our plans for marriage, starting the family we'd always talked about. As I sat there, listening to Nate's promises and pleas, I realized something important. While a part of me still loved Nate, probably always would, I no longer trusted him. And without trust, what kind of relationship could we really have? Could I ever truly believe he was working late again? Would I always be wondering if there was another Rebecca? With a heavy heart, I told Nate that while I appreciated his apology and his willingness to work on our relationship, I couldn't see a way forward for us. The betrayal was too deep, the trust too thoroughly broken. I deserved someone who wouldn't need to lose me to realize my worth. Nate didn't take it well. He alternated between begging for another chance and accusing me of throwing away 6 years over one mistake. It was one of the hardest conversations of my life, but I stood my ground. When I finally walked out of that cafe, I felt like I could breathe properly for the first time in months. The aftermath of this decision has been challenging. Nate didn't respect my wishes for space. He bombarded me with calls and texts, ranging from heartfelt apologies to angry accusations. I finally had to block his number for my own peace of mind. My sister Monica was initially upset with my decision. She argued that I was being too harsh, that people deserve second chances. We had a heated argument where I finally snapped and told her that until she's been cheated on, she has no right to tell me how to feel or what to do. We didn't speak for a week after that, but she eventually came around and apologized for not being more supportive. On a more positive note, my dad has been incredibly supportive. He helped me find a new apartment and even enlisted my cousins to help me move. It feels good to have a space that's entirely my own, without memories of Nate lurking in every corner. My mom, while disappointed that Nate and I couldn't work things out, has come to understand my decision. She's been calling more often to check in on me and even suggested we take a mother-daughter trip soon to help me take my mind off things. As for me, I'm taking things one day at a time. Some days are harder than others. There are moments when I miss Nate terribly and question my decision. But then I remember the betrayal, the lies, and I know I made the right choice for myself. I've started focusing more on my career and have taken on some challenging projects at work. I've also been spending more time with friends I'd somewhat neglected during my relationship with Nate. It's been refreshing to reconnect with them and remember who I am outside of being Nate's girlfriend. I've also returned to my art. I set up a small studio corner in my new apartment and have been painting again. It's been cathartic, pouring my emotions onto canvas. I'd forgotten how much I loved losing myself in the creative process. Looking ahead, I'm not sure what the future holds. The thought of dating again is both exciting and terrifying. For now, I'm focusing on healing and rediscovering myself. Thank you all again for your support and advice. It truly made a difference in helping me find the strength to make this difficult decision. Update 2. It's been 3 months since my last update, and a lot has happened. I want to thank everyone again for their continued support and kind words. Your encouragement has meant more to me than you could know. I threw myself into work after the breakup, and it's paid off. I was offered a promotion at my company, which I gladly accepted. I'm now leading my own team of designers, and while it's challenging, it's also incredibly rewarding. It's given me something positive to focus on and has helped rebuild my confidence. About a month ago, I ran into Rebecca at a local coffee shop. My heart dropped when I saw her, and I nearly turned around and left. But something made me stay. To my surprise, she approached me and asked if we could talk. We found a quiet corner, and Rebecca proceeded to tell me her side of the story. It turns out, Nate had told her he was single when they first started seeing each other. She only found out about me when she came across a photo of us on his desk at work. When she confronted him, Nate fed her the same lines he'd given me, that things with me were complicated, that he was planning to end it soon. Rebecca was devastated when she realized the full extent of Nate's deception. She ended things with him immediately and had been feeling guilty ever since. She apologized to me, even though I told her she had nothing to apologize for. We were both victims of Nate's lies. This conversation with Rebecca brought up a lot of emotions, but it also provided some closure. It made me realize that Nate's betrayal ran even deeper than I'd initially thought. He hadn't just cheated on me, he'd manipulated and hurt Rebecca too. In lighter news, I've started to feel more like myself again. I've taken up painting more seriously, something I used to love in high school but gave up when life got busy. It's been therapeutic, and I've even sold a few pieces at a local art fair. There's something incredibly fulfilling about seeing my art displayed and appreciated by others. My relationship with my sister Monica has improved significantly. She came to visit me a few weeks ago, and we had a heart-to-heart. She apologized for pressuring me to forgive Nate and admitted that she'd been projecting her own fears about relationships onto my situation. We're closer now than we've been in years, and she's become one of my biggest supporters. As for Nate, he finally seems to have gotten the message. The calls and texts have stopped, and I heard through mutual friends that he's moved to a different city for a new job. While part of me is relieved, another part feels a twinge of sadness. 6 years is a long time, and despite everything, there are good memories mixed in with the bad. But I'm looking forward now, not back. I've started to feel ready to possibly dip my toes back into the dating pool. I'm not rushing into anything, but I'm open to the possibility of meeting someone new. I've joined a local art club and have been enjoying meeting new people who share my passion. Thank you all again for being a part of this journey with me. Your support has been invaluable, and I'm grateful for this community. Update 3. It's hard to believe it's been 6 months since my last update. Time really does fly, doesn't it? I wanted to check in one last time and let you all know how things have been going. Life has settled into a new normal, and I'm happy to report that it's a good one. Work continues to go well. I've fully settled into my new role and even received recognition for a project I led last quarter. It feels good to be valued for my skills and hard work. On the personal front, I've continued with my painting and have even started teaching a beginner's art class at a local community center. It's been incredibly fulfilling to share my passion with others and watch them discover their own creativity. Seeing the joy on my students' faces when they complete a piece reminds me why I fell in love with art in the first place. I've also started dating again. I met a guy named Alex, 32M, through my art club about 2 months ago. We've been taking things slow, but I really enjoy his company. He's kind, funny, and most importantly, he's honest. I find myself trusting him in a way I didn't think I'd be able to trust anyone again so soon. It's still early days, but I'm cautiously optimistic. As for Nate, I heard he's engaged to someone new. Surprisingly, the news didn't affect me as much as I thought it would. I hope he's learned from his mistakes and treats his new partner better than he treated me. I've come to realize that wishing him well doesn't mean I have to welcome him back into my life. My family relationships continue to strengthen. Monica and I talk almost daily now, and she's become one of my biggest cheerleaders. She's even signed up for one of my art classes, which has been a fun way to bond and create new memories together. It's amazing how this difficult experience has brought us closer. My parents recently celebrated their 35th wedding anniversary, and seeing their strong, loving relationship has given me hope for my own future. They've been incredibly supportive throughout this whole ordeal, and I'm grateful for their wisdom and guidance. Looking back on everything that's happened, I can honestly say that while the journey was painful, I'm grateful for where it's led me. I'm stronger now, more sure of myself and what I want out of life and relationships. I've rediscovered my passion for art, advanced in my career, and formed deeper connections with my family and friends. There are still moments when I think about Nate and our time together, but those thoughts no longer bring the intense pain they once did. Instead, I've learned to appreciate the good times we shared while acknowledging that the relationship had run its course. I'm excited about the future in a way I haven't been in a long time. Whether it's with Alex or someone else, I know that I'm capable of building a healthy, trusting relationship. And if that doesn't happen, I've learned that I'm strong enough to be happy on my own. Thank you all for being part of this journey with me. Your support, advice, and kind words have meant more than I can express. I hope my story can provide some comfort or guidance to others who might be going through similar situations. Remember, healing isn't linear, and it's okay to take the time you need to process and move forward. Here's to new beginnings and the beautiful uncertainty of the future. Comments. User 1, Op, I'm so proud of you for staying strong and choosing yourself. It takes a lot of courage to walk away from a long-term relationship, even when it's the right thing to do. Your growth throughout this journey is inspiring. Wishing you all the best. User 2, your story resonates with me so much. I went through a similar situation a few years ago, and reading about your healing process gives me hope. Keep painting and living your best life. User 3, the way you handled the situation with Rebecca shows real maturity. It's not easy to find compassion for the other woman, but you're right, you were both victims of Nate's deception. Your ability to see the bigger picture is admirable. Stay strong. User 4, your sister Monica's growth throughout this story is heartwarming. It's great to see family coming together during tough times. And congrats on your career advancement. You're crushing it, Op. User 5, as someone who's currently going through a breakup, your story gives me hope. It's encouraging to see how you've rebuilt your life and rediscovered your passion. Thank you for sharing your journey with us.